Hello and welcome to this tutorial on compositing in Blender. Right, okay, this is going to be a very basic tutorial. I'm not going to go into too much detail, just really what you need to know to get started. Okay, so first of all, when you open Blender, you get the 3D view. You don't really need this. We're going to be going into the composite mode or layout. So you go up to here to the layout, click menu, click on that, and from the drop down list, click on compositing. And then we get this layout here. If you want to see what I'm doing on my mouse or what keys I'm pressing, look down here and you can see you can see what keys I'm pressing and what mouse buttons I'm pressing. If you don't have a middle mouse button or a mouse with 3 buttons, there is a way around it. I'll do a separate little video about how to get around that little problem. Right, okay, so let's get started with compositing. What we're going to use this pane up here for the node layout. You'll see what that is as we progress. So click on use nodes. We don't need any of these just yet, so I'm going to press X to delete those ones. And then I'm going to open up our first node, which is going to be image node. So Shift A to add a node, and then input and go down to image. You can load videos or whatever you want as well, but we're using an image for the purposes of this tutorial, so just place that there. I'm going to open an image, so click on open and just navigate to where the there we go. So this is the subject matter with the green screen in the background, our foreground basically, and to view the image we need to have a viewer node. So Shift A, output, viewer, and place that anywhere you want. And then we're going to drag a connection between image output of the image node to the image input of the viewer node, like so. We still don't see anything. There's 2 ways we can see what we're doing. Click on backdrop down here, and if I press V to zoom out, you can see the whole image there. I've noticed looking at YouTube videos that a lot of people work this way. I prefer to work another way, because you've got the nodes in the way. I mean, some people just prefer to see it like that. I'm going to uncheck backdrop. It's just one way you can do it if you want to. I'm going to go down here. This is the UV image editor, and click on this icon just here and click on viewer node and use mouse wheel down to zoom in or out, and middle mouse button to move around, same as with the node layout. If you get a larger node layout, zoom in and out with the mouse wheel button, and middle mouse to pan about, which is why you need a middle mouse button really to navigate easily around your nodes. Right, anyway, let's carry on. Right, so that we get a decent alpha channel, or we can key out the green, we need a keying node. This is the best way I know of, of keying in Blender. There may be other ways, but this is the best way I know of. So Shift A, matte, then go down to keying and just place that between the 2 other nodes. That automatically inserts it between the 2 other nodes when you release the mouse button, or click again on the mouse button, sorry. Right, and now what you want to do, first thing is to click on the key color. I've zoomed in way too far, you can't see what I want to do there. Click on the key color and then on the little pipette, and then on a mid-tone green. Yeah, this isn't the best green screen photo I've taken here, but it's good enough for our purposes. Yeah, lighting your green screen is important for getting a good result. So I'm going to click around here. I think works well for this, and you can see it's made most of the background transparent. You can see the checkered image behind there, which will be clear, but you can see in places it's still a little bit, there's a blue hue going on, which will you'll see what that looked like when I put the background in. But there is another way to get rid of that completely. There's lots of tools you can use, but as I say, I'm just going to go into the basic setup of this. Right, so now we need to add a background image. So rather than inserting a new image node, I'm going to copy the existing image node, which is sometimes a quicker way of doing things. So Shift D while that's selected, and that's copied that, and I'm going to drag up and click to place it up there. Right, so if I zoom in here, I'm going to click on Open Image button and open the background. There we go. One important thing, there's probably a way to correct this if you haven't done this, but make sure all your source material is the same resolution. It'll make things a lot easier. Anyway, what we need to do now is to mix the two images together. So Shift A, color, and we need to use an alpha over node. Click that in between the keying and the viewer node. And I'm going to drag the input from the keying node to the bottom. Let me zoom in so you can see what I'm doing. I'm going to drag the output from the image keying node from the upper image from the upper image input of the alpha over into the lower input, and there you can see all the white or whatever color you happen to have made it is going to be transparent. That's where we're going to plug in the background image, but first you can still see this where the blue hue was. It makes the background image look like it's folded cloth still, as the green screen itself was a little bit creased. So what we can do is click from matte output from the keying node to the factor input of the alpha over node, and that clears it up rather nicely. And now all we need to do is just simply drag you can do this whichever order you want to. I did it this way to show you easy. Oh, just one more thing I've got to show you. See up here, it's slightly shaded. That there are ways around that, but as I say, maybe I'll do a more in-depth tutorial later on, or you can find other sources of information on the internet to find out how to get rid of that. But this, as I say, is a basic tutorial. Right, so I'm going to drag the output from the image background image to the upper image input of the alpha over node, and there we go. You could also go into color correcting, color correction to make the images match better. But if you've done your work properly, you would have taken this into account when you were photographing or videoing, whatever it was you were doing. You still you'll find you probably need to do some kind of color correcting to make the images merge better, to gel better, look more like the foreground object is actually in the background's environment. Anyway, there you go. That's the basics of chroma keying in Blender. Hope this has helped. Yes. Okay. Thank you very much. Bye.